this is my installation, and it's called The Act of Drinking Beer with Friends is the highest form of art. I'm doing this piece in Leipzig, Germany in 2 weeks, and it's in a show called The Pleasures of Food. So it's similar to this show, like Feast. And I was in a show in the San Francisco Museum of Art 5 years ago called The Art of Participation. So it's also a similar idea. So there are lots of theme shows in the last few years about this idea. Some people think I'm the father of this idea of social practice, social art, social sculpture. Some guy wrote a book in France called Nicolas Bouillard called Relational Aesthetics.
Right.
They teach it in art school now. They call it social practice and so on. And the title of the shelf of the beer is called An Aid to Communication. And they translated that into Japanese. Then they translated it back into English, and it became Accelerated Communication.
Yeah.
And it's an American sacramental wine for me. This piece is more than just drinking beer. It's all of the elements that make up the big sculpture. It's like a big sculpture. It's participatory sculpture. Well, the piece is, since I've done it for so long, it's evolved. And the first time I did it, it was more like Rakert's work where just the debris was left without kind of aesthetic considerations. But over time, the first time I did it, it was just like there was a party and it didn't get cleaned up. You know,
right.
That was the show. You know, that was the show in the museum. But then over time, I've perfected it and made it more aesthetic. And been to Japan many times, and I was influenced by the tea ceremony. Sometimes people just think, oh, it's just a beer party. Somebody said to me one time, oh, well, I do that all the time with my friends. And I said, is that? And they said, is that art? And I said, no, it's a copy of my art. It's starting to become boring. It's become so famous. Yeah, I mean, it's at the expense of my other art, but that's all right because I'm glad to be working, and I think I'm a constantly emerging artist. I keep getting rediscovered because some of the things I've done, like 1 second sculpture, 1969, Austrian artist named Erwin Wurm did a series of 1 minute sculptures, unaware of my piece. And so because of Erwin Wurm, my 1 second sculpture from '69 got rediscovered and was in a show in France, you know, and they bought the piece actually. And then so in this Beer with Friends is because it's become a movement now. Then when anybody does any research, they learn about this, and so then I get rediscovered. So I keep getting rediscovered. So it's like I'm having my second 15 minutes in a way, you know. Because in the 70s I was busy, and then in the 80s it was slow because it was a period of painting, you know, and art about money. You know, so it goes back and forth. Every other decade I'm famous.